Hey, I'm Ryan, and I'm a redneck, but I'm not a redneck when I meet with presidents of other countries, which I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 times now. Why is that relevant? It has to do with the 80-20 rule. We hear about the 80-20 rule. People talk about the 80-20 rule over and over and over again. But in networking, in sales, in business, the 80-20 rule has a different application that doesn't get talked about enough. And here's what that is. Think about who you are as a person, right? So I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I live in Granbury, Texas, all these things. That's the totality of who I am. Now, when I'm meeting with the president of a country or someone who wants to sell their business or a coaching client or I'm coaching my son's high school football team, I take 20% of who I am and I emphasize that for the room that I'm talking to, the people that I'm talking to, the person I'm trying to help. Why is that important? Well, first, you got to understand who you are, right? You got to make sure you know who you are. In society today, we think, this is who I am. Everyone must accept everything about me, which is quite silly. It's just a silly thing to think. People should not accept everything about everyone because it's too much to keep up with, to be quite honest with you. A, it takes too long to discover. B, C, it sets you up where you're always looking for a reason to abandon someone because they don't fit exactly who you thought they were, right? So if you say you must accept everything, well, there's no one who's going to accept everything. My wife would like me to change certain things that I do. She still loves me, she's still here, but she would like for me to change certain things that I do because I'm not perfect. So in our totality, there's imperfection. So we shouldn't demand that people look at us and accept us for 100% of who we are, to work with us, to be friends with us, to do business with us. However, we should look at them and say, this 20% right here, this portion is relevant to me and you working together. This portion is relevant to me and you being friends or whatever that might be. That's the 20% that we should emphasize. When I'm going to help someone sell a business or buy a business or a coaching client or get a loan or whatever that might be, I don't say, are you Republican, Democrat, do you go to church, are you an atheist? I don't ask you those questions. That's not relevant to whether or not we can work together. What's relevant is their 20% and my 20%. These are the things that I bring to the table. These are the things that you bring to the table. Do they work together so that we can work on this deal? If they do, then great. If they don't, okay. I know people that are really good friends of mine that 80% I love, but 20%, the business 20%, is not a good fit. No harm, no foul. So we have to understand, A, who are we in totality? Then what 20% do we want to convey in the room that we're in? Now, what happens is, oftentimes people get on here and they try to swindle you, or they try to manipulate you, or they try to pitch you on what they're really not. So the 20% does not mean have a separate 20% of ethics that you really don't believe in, but you convey that to secure business or whatever it might be. No, the 20% is part of who you are. So your ethics, your morality, whatever, how you do business, how you talk to people, that's part of that 20%. It's just how you portray it in this room is different than you would portray it when you're tucking your kid in at night. It's that simple, right? So when you're tucking your kid in at night, you're doing it because you're a loving parent, father, mother, whatever it might be. And so you're doing it for that reason. That's why you're tucking the kid in at night. Now, the ethic there on some level is that you want to be a good person, a good parent, a good spouse, right? When you go to business, you don't abandon that just so you can win a deal. But you don't have to emphasize that you're such a good person that you lay down with your kid at night. It's not relevant. Maybe one day it will be, but it's not relevant. Because the person that you're dealing with isn't really buying that from you. Not they're buying. Now, there are exceptions to where you're selling stuff like that and then it becomes relevant, sure. But for most business people, it's not relevant, nor will it ever be relevant. What's relevant is that 20%. Can you actually deliver the results that I need? I need faster internet. Can you go install it? I need to grow my business. Can you do this? I need banking loans, whatever it might be. Can you deliver that result? That 20% is what you're going to emphasize. Okay. In modern 2024 world, what I see is people online always talking about who they are, what they believe, why it's so important that you agree with me. And okay, sure, on some people I agree with some stuff, some people I agree with other stuff, some people I don't care. What I've learned is that there are people who can help me. that I agree with on very few things. There are people that can help me that I agree with very, very, very little, but they can help me grow my business. They can help me do other stuff that I'm trying to accomplish. I might not agree with them on most things. I'll give you an example. Last year, my son's high school football team, which I'm the offensive coordinator for, won the state championship. You know what I did? I went and watched other coaches' plays, and I picked ones that I thought would be best for our team, and I copied them and I molded them to our scheme. I have no idea whether or not these people believe about coaching the same way that I do or anything else. All I know is they did something that percentage of their life, calling plays, was relevant to me, and therefore I was able to figure out what they did and make it our own. See how that works? I didn't need to make sure that they're a Red Sox fan or they like the Cowboys or hate the Cowboys or whatever. I didn't need to know any of that. It's not relevant. What's relevant is, can you help me accomplish the goal? The goal for us, win a state championship. And it worked. We won it. How? We found people who were better at doing what we're doing, and we took from them those principles. Now, if we sat down with those coaches, they would give us more than what we got, and they would explain to us their philosophy, how they think about it. We'd take a little bit more. But at some point, there's something that we're going to disagree on, and we would no longer want to hear about them from that, which is why the 20% is so important. That 20% is where the value is. I want to know what plays they're calling, why they're calling them, how they thought about them, stuff like that. That's super, super interesting to me. Beyond that, what they're doing on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock at night, I could care less. Like the Red Sox, I don't care. It's not relevant to me. So when you get online, what happens is people go, well, this is who I am. You must accept me. And that's how you build a following. Okay, yeah, some people are really good at that. Most of us aren't, though. Most of us are better suited by saying, hey, what's our 20%? What's the 20% that we can convey to the world in an honest fashion that talks about the things that we care about or that we're skilled at, or that we can work on? We can help people achieve the results. What is that? What are those things? Talking is not my strong suit, as you can tell. And then put that out there to the world. When we go network, what 20% should we bring? If you think about this, and the more you think about this, the better you get at this, the more likely you will be able to close more deals, grow your business, network better if you're looking to get a job, if that's kind of your thing right now, whatever it is, that 20% rule. Final thing I'll say, and we know this intuitively, and here's what's weird. When you go interview someone or you're up for a job interview, do you give your full 100%? No. You take that 20% that you want to convey in that meeting and you say, this is who I am, you should hire me. Right? This is who I am, you should hire me. The problem with that is that a lot of times that 20% isn't truthful. It isn't truthful. So we've taken this image thing that we've seen, whether it's online or through job interviews, and we've realized that people will falsely do 20%. They will pretend this is my 20%, and it's not. It's not at all who they are. And so we've kind of said, well, let's be really authentic. And what I'm telling you is there is a way to say, this is what I like to do in business. This is how I like to do it. And if you were to call me and work with me, you would find out that I'm basically the same person I am right now. For the camera, I might get up one or two notches. It's a little bit more enthusiastic than I am on most calls. But it's the same person, the same principles. I believe this, which is why I'm putting it out there. If that's not who I am, then you call me, you would realize I'm like the person in the job interview who just gave you the answers that you wanted to hear so that you'd hire them. That's not the 20% I'm talking about. The 20% is, who are you? Take it, condense it down, and make it relevant for the person that you're talking to so that you can grow your business, you can close more deals, you can get the job that you want and stay hired because you actually conveyed what it is that you really bring to the table. Don't demand that people accept you for everything. Don't demand that you accept people. Don't be the kind of person who demands that you understand fully everyone. Understand how to do business and understand the 80-20 rule as it pertains to your business. And finally, don't pick on people like me who can't talk very well.